A few days after undergoing a comprehensive medical checkup, my only daughter, Allison, received a phone call on her cell phone one evening. The person on the other end spoke in a polite tone, recommending a follow-up examination. The results of the re-examination revealed a devastating truth. Allison had pancreatic cancer, and it was already at stage 4. There's a way to save me, right? The doctor, after briefly exchanging glances with the nurse, opened his mouth with a determined look on his face. I will be straightforward with you. The current condition is what we refer to as terminal cancer. I'm afraid our medical expertise cannot offer a solution beyond this point. Does that mean I don't have much time left? Please, tell me honestly. Allison, though trembling with fear, summoned her courage to ask the question. Despite being terrified and wanting to turn away from the reality, she chose not to run. Miss Allison, it's incredibly painful to tell you this, but the prognosis is that you have about 6 months left. After hearing this, Allison was left speechless. She returned home in a daze. She was in tears when she reached for her phone. She sent a single message to her fiancé, Sean. It read, "Please eat out tonight." Several hours later, Sean returned home. He found Allison staring blankly at the ceiling in the dimly lit room. Her voice lacked strength as she said, "Welcome back. Are you feeling unwell?" Allison, looking like a lifeless doll, gave a dry smile. She then began to explain her situation to Sean. She shared that her condition was terminal, that the chances of survival were nearly 0. Sean, listening attentively, responded with determination. If there's even a 1% chance, we won't give up. I believe we can find a treatment somewhere in the world. Sean's words of encouragement brought Allison to tears. With a trembling voice, she expressed her wish. I want to have our wedding. Sean's positivity and gentle words deeply touched Allison's heart. But when left alone, she felt overwhelmed by grief, fear, and sadness. That night, she cried all night long. Allison started researching pancreatic cancer to understand it better. However, the more she learned, the more fear consumed her. She tried to steady her trembling body with both hands. Later, Allison brought Sean along to visit me, her mother. "Oh, both of you are here. What's the occasion?" I asked. Allison, standing beside Sean, looked unusually pale. She shared that her doctors recommended chemotherapy and radiation treatment. She explained that they decided to visit me before her hospital admission. It was then that Allison revealed her diagnosis to me. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer, she said quietly. I was left speechless. Even without much knowledge of cancer, I understood how serious stage 4 was. All I could do was try to encourage her, even though my words couldn't change her condition. Allison, however, thanked me. Tears streaming down her face, she buried her head in my chest. Stroking her head as she sobbed, I vowed to do everything in my power for her. Allison's condition was later shared with all relatives by Sean. Around that time, I received a call from Sean's mother. She wanted to meet and talk about Allison. Reluctantly, I agreed to the meeting. As expected, the moment I arrived, she brought up Allison's illness. I've only recently learned about it, and it still doesn't feel real, I said. But I have no intention of giving up on Allison's life. Sean's mother, Amy, gave me a cold, calculating stare. She's still saying she wants to go through with the wedding? Her discontent was obvious, as was her disdain. The memory of our first meeting flashed through my mind. I decided not to engage with her hostility. Yes, they both want to proceed with the wedding, I replied calmly. We should support them and make it a wonderful occasion. Let's talk practically. Now that I know my dear Sean's future wife is in this condition, I can't just sit back and wait. At first, I thought she might offer a suggestion to help Allison, but what she said next shocked me. To put it bluntly, your daughter has no hope of survival, so we should cancel the wedding and start looking for Sean's next wife. Her words were like a dagger to my heart. I asked, what about Allison's feelings? How can you say such a thing? It can't be helped, can it? Spending money on a dying person is a waste. Her cruel words left me speechless. Unable to contain my anger, I blurted out, How dare you look at my daughter this way? Even with a slim chance, we will not give up on her. She smirked and replied nonchalantly, You're so emotional. I'm just being practical. My anger flared even more. Do they only care about money? I asked, trembling with frustration. Well, isn't that the way the world works? Money makes everything possible. She continued, completely unashamed. I married my husband for his wealth. If I have money and my pleasures, I don't need anything else. At that moment, I realized reasoning with her was futile. "I'm sorry, but I cannot agree with you," I declared firmly. "I will never give up on my daughter or the wedding." She sneered at me and said, "You're on your own. Don't expect a single penny from us." "That's fine," I replied curtly and left without looking back. The next day, I visited my childhood friend Rachel, who runs a local bar. "Hey, it's been a while. How have you been? I was getting worried since you haven't dropped by lately." The moment I saw her face, I felt the tension that had been building inside me begin to melt away. "Sorry, I've just been really busy lately," I said with a small smile. "How's Allison doing?" "She's fine," I lied, not wanting to reveal too much just yet. Rachel continued cheerfully, oblivious to my inner turmoil. "I heard she got engaged. That's wonderful news." Her words made me think of Allison's pale face and tear-filled eyes. I hesitated, but Rachel noticed something was off. "What's wrong? You got that complicated look on your face." "You noticed, huh?" I said, forcing a weak smile. I then told Rachel everything. Allison's diagnosis, the awful encounter with Sean's mother, and my fears about the future. "That's a lot to deal with. I can't believe Allison has cancer, especially at her age." Rachel seemed genuinely shocked, her expression softening. "It's been exhausting," I admitted, finally letting my shoulders relax. Seeing my exhaustion, Rachel started mixing a cocktail, her usual way of comforting me. "You always look like you need one of my special cocktails when you're tired." As I sipped the drink, Rachel's curiosity got the better of her. "By the way, do you have a photo of Sean's mom?" "Why?" I asked, surprised. "I'm just curious. Let me see." I pulled out a photo from our first meeting and showed it to her. "Oh my God, I know this woman." Rachel's face lit up with a mischievous grin. She explained that Sean's mother was a regular at her bar. Apparently, she often came in with younger men or wealthy-looking older gentlemen, acting very flirtatiously. She's been known to spend her nights gambling and drinking. Hearing this, a sense of satisfaction welled up in me. "Thank you, Rachel. This might come in handy," I said with a determined smile. "I knew it. You're planning something, aren't you?" "Oh, absolutely," I replied. With this information, I felt confident I could deal with Sean's mother's interference in the wedding. Feeling empowered by what I'd learned, I decided to act. While Allison was focused on her treatment, I waited for a moment when Sean's mother wasn't around. I gathered Sean, Brian, his father, and a few of our trusted relatives for a meeting. I shared everything Sean's mother had said to Allison and me. I also told them about her gambling and inappropriate behavior outside the home. "I can't believe she says such things about Allison. That's unforgivable." "Is this true?" "Find it hard to believe." Sean's father seemed skeptical but thoughtful. After a moment of silence, he sighed. "Actually, now that I think about it, there were signs. She's come home late, smelling of alcohol, and her behavior has been odd for a while." Sean looked at his father with a mix of shock and anger. "Dad, how could you ignore this?" "I didn't want to believe it. I thought it was just a phase." I explained my plan to expose her hypocrisy if she attempted to disrupt the wedding further. Sean and his father agreed to support me. A few weeks before the wedding, Sean's father recorded a conversation with her. In it, she blatantly stated her intentions to block the wedding and find Sean a new bride. "It's just practical," she said. "Why waste money on someone who won't survive?" The recording was proof enough of her true thoughts. The day of the wedding finally arrived. Sean's mother, as expected, chose not to attend. But right in the middle of the preparations, my phone rang. It was her. I put the phone on speaker so everyone nearby could hear. "Hello, enjoying the wedding? Remember, you're not getting a single penny from me." Her voice dripped with smug satisfaction. "Oh, and by the way, I'm taking the wedding gifts for Sean's future wife. If you don't bring them to me right now, I'll ruin everything." Her threats were laughable. Sean, who had been listening, took the phone from me. "I heard everything. Stay where you are, I'm coming over." "Well, at least you're quick. I'll be waiting." Sean turned to me, his face set with determination. Together with Allison, Rachel, and Sean's father, we drove to confront her. When we arrived, she greeted us with a fake smile. "Oh, you're here. Did you bring the gifts?" "Yes, and more." Sean placed a folder of evidence in front of her. It contained photos of her with younger men and records of her gambling debts. What is this?" Her face turned pale, but she quickly tried to regain composure. "This is fake. It's all fabricated." Rachel stepped forward, holding an audio recording. "This isn't fake. Listen to this." She played a recording of Sean's mother bragging about her affairs and mocking her husband. Her face turned crimson with anger and embarrassment. "You've shamed our family for long enough. I'm filing for divorce immediately." "You can't be serious. What will I do?" Sean's father ignored her pleas and walked out. Sean looked at her coldly and said, "You're no longer part of my life." We left her behind and returned to the wedding. The atmosphere at the wedding was vibrant and full of joy despite the earlier confrontation. Sean and Allison exchanged their vows in a heartfelt ceremony. They promised to support each other through every challenge. After the ceremony, the reception was lively and filled with laughter. Allison, though physically frail, smiled radiantly throughout. Sean's friends, who were entrepreneurs, discussed future business ideas with them. The event felt like not just a celebration of their love, but also a renewal of hope. A few days after the wedding, Allison and Sean began planning her treatment abroad. With contributions from family and friends, along with Sean's father's support, they managed to arrange for advanced precision medicine in the US. This treatment involved personalized care based on genetic information, offering a tailored approach to her cancer. Though it wasn't guaranteed to cure her, it provided a glimmer of hope. "I'm so grateful for everyone's support. We'll face this together no matter what." Rachel, ever the optimist, chimed in. "Don't forget my contribution. I deserve at least 80% of the credit for all this. Maybe 40% at most." The banter lightened the mood, and for the first time in weeks, Allison laughed wholeheartedly. Sean's father, now living alone, mentioned how peaceful his home had become. "I've been enjoying fresh vegetables from the farm every month. It's been a blessing." Allison's treatment progressed, and though there were ups and downs, the family stayed optimistic. Discussions began about building a new home and preparing for a brighter future. "Once your treatment is done, let's plan for a new house. Maybe a new member of the family?" Everyone laughed, the sense of hope and resilience palpable. That new year, the family gathered to celebrate at both households. The tension that had once plagued them was replaced by peace and unity. Allison's battle was far from over, but she faced it with courage and support from her loved ones. No one looked back. They all focused on the path ahead. Rachel joked as usual. "You know, if you find me a good man, I'll treat you all to dinner." Laughter filled the room as they raised their glasses to a hopeful future. Allison's journey had just begun, but with unwavering support, she was determined to seize every moment of happiness.